So I think a lot of people have heard of, the big names in mountaineering, like Hillary, like, Messner. But I think fewer people can really explain what makes the Sherpa people so essential to Himalayan climbing.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? You can name famous Western climbers, but the Sherpa people, who are just essential to those expeditions, often get overlooked.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping to change today. We're going to do a deep dive into the life of Ang Tharkey Sherpa, and try to understand what made him such a giant in the mountaineering world. We're going to do more than just list his climbs, though. This deep dive is about uncovering his leadership, his cultural impact, the legacy that goes way beyond the summit. So to get us started, let's rewind the clock to 1907. Ang Tharkey is born in Khumbu, Nepal, practically in the shadow of Everest. What do you think it was like growing up in a place where the Himalayas are just this constant presence?
I mean, you can't ignore the influence of that landscape, right? I mean, the mountains must have felt like both a playground and a challenge, shaping his sense of adventure and resilience from a young age.
Yeah, and it wasn't long before those mountains called him to a career, right? By the 1930s, he was joining Western expeditions as they started to explore the Himalayas. This was a whole different era of climbing, though.
Hmm.
The gear was basic, the risks were enormous, and the mountains themselves were largely uncharted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what makes Ang Tharkey's early success so remarkable, I think. He quickly gained a reputation for being more than just strong. He had an almost instinctive understanding of the mountains, a natural ability to navigate treacherous terrain and anticipate problems before they arose.
Yeah, one of the sources we read describes him as not just a porter, he was a problem solver, a navigator, and a motivator. What do those qualities actually mean in the context of these incredibly dangerous expeditions?
Well, imagine you're facing a sudden blizzard high on mountain. Your route is blocked, and morale is plummeting. That's when having someone like Ang Tharkey becomes critical. He could assess the situation, find a solution, keep the team moving forward, and inspire them to keep going when all hope seemed lost.
So it's like a more than just physical strength and endurance. It's that mental toughness and leadership
Oh yeah, absolutely.
that really sets him apart.
Mm.
Okay, so let's fast forward to 1950 and the ascent of Annapurna. This was the first time an 8,000-meter peak was ever climbed, and Ang Tharkey was a vital part of that French expedition.
Mm.
What do you think his role in this historic climb says about the evolving perception of Sherpas in the mountaineering world? Well, it's not just about carrying loads anymore, right?
Yeah.
Ang Tharkey's expertise, his judgment, his ability to anticipate problems, all these things were crucial to the team's success. It forced the world to recognize that Sherpa knowledge and skill were just as important as Western climbing techniques. I think it really put them on the map as mountaineers in their own right. And it's fascinating how he didn't stop there, right? Just 4 years later, in 1954, Ang Tharkey took this incredibly bold step and founded his own trekking company. Why was that such a groundbreaking move at the time?
Well, up until then, most Sherpas worked for Western expeditions, but
Yeah.
Ang Tharkey saw an opportunity to change that, to change the power dynamic. Starting his own company gave Sherpas more control, allowed them to benefit directly from their expertise, and gain recognition for their leadership in the mountains.
So he's not just an incredible climber and leader, he's also a savvy entrepreneur. What do you think this says about his vision for the Sherpa community?
Well, he wasn't content with the status quo. He saw a future where Sherpas weren't just supporting Western climbers, but were leading expeditions themselves, sharing their knowledge and their love of the mountains on their own terms.
And you have to admire that kind of foresight, especially decades before trekking became the industry it is today. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's go back to 1953 and Ang Tharkey's involvement in the British Mount Everest expedition. This was the one that saw the first successful ascent of Everest, right?
That's right. Now, while Ang Tharkey didn't summit Everest himself on that particular expedition, his role was absolutely critical. He was instrumental in establishing the route through the Khumbu Icefall, which is a notoriously dangerous and unpredictable section of the climb.
Yeah, I've heard about the icefall doctors. Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly. They're a team of highly skilled Sherpas who go in each season to essentially rebuild the route through the icefall. It's incredibly risky work, and their expertise is absolutely essential for anyone attempting to climb Everest. And Ang Tharkey's early work there helped pave the way for safer passage through that treacherous area, a route that's still used today.
It's amazing to think about the impact he had, not just on individual expeditions, but on the future of mountaineering itself. But we'll get back to his legacy in a bit. First, let's dive a little deeper into Ang Tharkey's personal motivations. What do you think? What do you think drove him to achieve so much, not just for himself, but for his entire community?
It's it's easy to focus on the accomplishments, but understanding Ang Tharkey's motivations, I think, requires looking at the context of his time. Remember, this was an era when Western expeditions dominated the Himalayas, and Sherpas, despite their crucial roles, were often seen as just hired help.
So you're saying his drive was about more than personal ambition?
Absolutely, yeah. I believe he saw a chance to change the way Sherpas were perceived in the mountaineering world. He wasn't content with simply accepting a secondary role. He wanted more for himself, and crucially, he wanted more for his community.
That makes sense. He wasn't just climbing mountains; he was breaking down barriers. But how did that manifest beyond his mountaineering feats?
Well, I mean, remember, this is a man who founded his own trekking company, wrote an autobiography, and constantly challenged the prevailing narrative about Sherpas. He wasn't just quietly achieving things. He was actively using his platform to advocate for his people.
So he wasn't just a climber or a businessman. He was a voice for his community, a champion for their skills and their contributions to mountaineering.
Precisely. And think about the impact he must have had on young Sherpas. Seeing someone from their own community achieving, incredible things, breaking down barriers, becoming a leader, not just on the mountain, but in the world. That's a powerful legacy.
Yeah, it's inspiring to think about. But I have to wonder, with all the risks and the long stretches away from home, how did he balance his personal life with these incredible ambitions?
Well, from everything I've read, Ang Tharkey was deeply devoted to his family. Despite the demands of his profession, he always prioritized returning to his wife Dawa Futi and their children in his village. There's a story that really highlights this, actually.
Well, I'm yours.
So after returning from a particularly grueling expedition, instead of taking well-deserved rest, Ang Tharkey immediately set about building a new schoolhouse for the children in his village.
Wow, that speaks volumes about his priorities. Yeah. Even after achieving so much, his focus was on giving back to his community.
Exactly. It underscores the fact that his success wasn't just about personal glory. It was about using his influence to uplift others. It's a powerful reminder that true leadership involves service and a commitment to improving the lives of those around us.
That's a powerful message, especially for anyone who might think that achieving great things requires sacrificing personal connections or community ties.
Yeah, it certainly challenges that notion, and this ability to balance personal commitments with the larger vision is something that really stands out to me when I look at Ang Tharkey's life as a whole.
Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by balancing a larger vision?
Well, he wasn't just physically navigating the mountains. He was navigating complex cultural landscapes as well. He was fluent in both Sherpa and Western cultures.
Yeah,
able to understand and bridge the gaps between them.
That's such a crucial point. It wasn't just about climbing skills. It was about cultural fluency too. He had to build trust and understanding between these two worlds, especially during a time when those worlds were often colliding in the Himalayas.
Precisely. He helped Western expeditions understand the nuances of the Himalayan environment, the importance of respecting local customs, and the value of the Sherpa people's contributions.
And on the flip side, he helped the Sherpa community understand the motivations and goals of Western climbers, fostering a sense of collaboration and mutual respect. It's remarkable to think about the diplomatic skills he must have possessed, the constant back and forth between these two very different perspectives.
It's a reminder that true leadership often involves navigating complexities that go beyond just technical expertise. It's about empathy, communication, and finding common ground, especially during a time of such immense change. You know, the world was emerging from World War II, globalization was on the rise, and the Himalayas were becoming increasingly accessible to outsiders.
And Ang Tharkey was at the forefront of this transition, helping shape the way the Sherpa people engaged with the modern world while preserving their own traditions and values. It must have been a delicate balancing act.
It certainly was. He was constantly adapting, evolving, finding new ways to navigate in an ever-changing landscape, both, literally and figuratively. He exemplifies the importance of adaptability, resilience, and the courage to embrace change while staying true to your roots.
That's a powerful lesson, especially in a world that's constantly changing and challenging our assumptions.
Absolutely. Ang Tharkey's story reminds us that true adventure isn't just about conquering peaks. It's about conquering our own limitations, about pushing beyond the boundaries of what we thought was possible, and about using our achievements to improve the lives of others.
And what about his legacy in the context of some of the more controversial aspects of Himalayan mountaineering? The environmental impact, the questions of exploitation, the commodification of Sherpa culture. These are issues we can't ignore.
It's true. We can't just celebrate the achievements without acknowledging the more complicated aspects of Himalayan mountaineering.
So, what are some of the key concerns that have emerged over the years?
Well, as the popularity of climbing in the Himalayas has grown, so have concerns about the impact of these expeditions. Overcrowding, environmental damage, the strain on local resources. These are serious issues. And then there's the ethical dimension, the question of whether Sherpa culture is being exploited or commodified for the benefit of Western climbers.
Yeah, that's a tough one. On the one hand, you have the potential for economic opportunity and cultural exchange, but on the other, there's the risk of losing control of your own narrative, of having your sacred mountains turned into a sort of adventure playground for outsiders.
Yeah.
How does Ang Tharkey's story help us navigate these tensions?
Well, I think Ang Tharkey's life offers a valuable perspective. I remember he witnessed firsthand the evolution of Himalayan mountaineering. He saw those early expeditions evolve into something much larger and more complex, and he wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo, advocating for fair treatment and respect for his people and their culture.
His decision to start his own trekking company really speaks to that. He wasn't just going along with the way things were. He was actively working to create a more equitable system, one where Sherpas had more control and agency.
Exactly. He was a pioneer in promoting responsible tourism, emphasizing the importance of cultural sensitivity, environmental awareness, and sustainable practices. And his voice, coming from someone so respected within the mountaineering world, carried a lot of weight.
So while there are no easy answers to these complex issues, Ang Tharkey's story suggests that we need to keep asking these questions, to be mindful of the impact our adventures have on the people and the environment we encounter.
Absolutely, and perhaps most importantly, we need to make sure that the voices of the Sherpa people are being heard, that they have a seat at the table when decisions are being made about the future of their mountains and their culture. For too long, the narrative has been dominated by Western perspectives.
Ang Tharkey's life reminds us that the Sherpa people are not just background figures in these stories. They're active participants. They have their own perspectives, their own dreams, and their own vision for the future.
And their expertise, their deep connection to the mountains is invaluable if we want to find sustainable and respectful ways to continue exploring and experiencing the wonder of the Himalayas.
So Ang Tharkey's legacy is about more than just climbing mountains. It's about challenging assumptions, pushing boundaries, and using your platform to advocate for positive change.
He was a true pioneer in so many ways, and his story reminds us that true adventure isn't just about conquering peaks. It's about conquering our own limitations, expanding our understanding of the world, and leaving a positive impact on the places and the people we encounter along the way.
Well said. What a journey this has been. We've gone from the foothills of the Himalayas to the summit of some pretty big ideas. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the extraordinary life and legacy of Ang Tharkey Sherpa.
It's been a pleasure sharing this exploration with you.
And for all of you listening out there, we hope this has inspired you to learn more about Ang Tharkey and the rich culture of the Sherpa people. Who knows? Maybe you'll even be inspired to chart your own course and discover the mountains within yourself.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep climbing.